Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us. First, let me introduce Dr. Michelle McGuire, aka Shelley. Shelley has received her bachelor's degree in biology from the University of Illinois, a master's degree in nutritional sciences from the University of Illinois, and a doctorate in human nutrition from Cornell University. Her research primarily focuses on understanding better how maternal diet and nutrition status influence human milk composition and maternal infant health during breastfeeding. Of particular interest to her research is understanding the importance of dietary lipids to maternal and infant health. She has a long-standing interest in understanding the physiological mechanisms driving the return of ovulatory function during the postpartum period. And recently, Shelley and her colleagues, Mark McGuire and Janet Williams, both at the University of Idaho, have become intrigued by the presence of variability in bacteria in human milk. As an extension, they are also interested in how the milk microbiome impacts short and long-term infant health, both in the US and globally. Shelley has been funded by a very broad variety of groups, and she's also passionately committed to better understanding human health through the provision of user-friendly, high-quality, evidence-based nutrition information to the press and to the public. Today, we're here to talk to her about one of her very impressive recent projects, and please join me in welcoming Shelley McGuire.
Thanks, Jeremy. Nice to be here.
So we're going to just play back the recorded session, and during that session, again, I just ask that everybody stay muted, and we'll have Q&A at the end. You can feel free to submit questions during the playback through the comments or the chat box there. So without further ado, we'll get started. So Shelley, thank you for joining us today, and I appreciate your time very much to come here and to talk with us a little bit about the experiences that you've had. Now, you've done a lot of different things in your career, and in fact, summarizing some of those things to put together a bio for this presentation was a task in itself. And so just if you could just give us a high-level introduction about what the IntelliBra project is and how that kind of came about for you as a researcher.
Sure, and thanks for having me. This is fun. So I'm a maternal infant nutritionist, and all of my research over the years has been related mostly to breastfeeding. And so we're really interested in understanding milk production and milk composition, et cetera, and we're interested in women around the world. So that's a little bit of the background. And one of our challenges in research in this area is that it's really difficult to know, to measure milk production. And it's even harder to measure infant milk consumption. And so there's no easy way to do it. And so we've forever been looking for a better way to do that than what we have right now. And also, these are parameters that a lot of breastfeeding women would be very interested in knowing themselves. So not only is there a research need for this, but there's a human need for this and a commercial need for this, because if we could figure out an easy way to measure those things, then women would also want to have access to that technology. And so that's how the IntelliBra project was born. Like I said, I'm an infant nutritionist, and I happen to be having a chat with a colleague of mine who's an engineer. And he said, well, I think we can help you do that. So that's what launched the whole IntelliBra project. As you know, the IntelliBra is this intelligent bra that actually measures milk production and infant milk consumption.
So that sounds like a really high-tech solution to a problem or a question that a lot of mothers face. And so what tools are they using today to track these types of things, to make sure that they're on track and to make sure that their infant is on track?
Yeah, if you were to look at the marketplace right now, you would find a handful of pieces of equipment that women can buy, none of which are at all tested scientifically. I don't have any faith in them at all. If women really want to know how much milk they're producing and how much milk their babies are consuming, they actually have to weigh their babies before and after every feed, which is a nightmare, especially for tired moms and dads. And it's also very stressful. And then on the research side, if we really want to know, we actually have to use what's called stably labeled isotopes, and women have to consume stable isotopes of water, and then we can measure what happens, how much of that gets into milk, etc. So again, there's no easy way to do this.
Sounds very, very manual, and I can't imagine having to weigh the infant after every feeding. That just is completely impractical. And for, I can imagine for fussy infants and things like that, it would become
It's horrible.
even horrible, so horrible.
We've done it. We've done it in research, because if we want those numbers, we actually have to do that. And the mothers that do it are so dedicated, because every time they'll finish feeding their baby, the baby's asleep, and then they have to put the baby on a scale, the baby wakes up. So it's
Oh
a bit of
man.
a nightmare. But and think about doing that at 11 at night or 2 in the morning.
No, it's too much. There's no way that that people are, and I'm imagining too that there's a lot of other factors that that they're having to mind, so that they're not weighing the water weight that the baby is consuming and things like that. So it just sounds like a really big hurdle for a lot of mothers.
Well, the moms that really need to know this are women who've delivered their babies prematurely, and those babies they really need to know how much milk they're producing and how much milk the baby's consuming. And those moms would really love this technology.
Sure. Well, so you've been working on this for some time, obviously, and I know that you're excited about it, and I know that other mothers are excited about it for their young children. And so, how close or how far is this away from somebody being able to purchase it online, or purchase it in the store, or that type of thing?
It's pretty far away. We have a working prototype. We've actually tested the prototype with women, and we know that it works, but it needs a lot more R&D. And so we're actually in the stage of trying to find an angel investor or other investors to help us get to the next level. So yeah, we've been working on this for probably 5 years. We've made a lot of progress. We've had some nibbles, and in terms of investors, but we haven't found the right fit yet.
Well, I think it's very exciting. We see several new technologies coming out for wearable devices, right? And this is a very practical use wearable. Unlike some of the wearables that you see that you might think of might just be a fluff device, might just be a consumer device. This sounds like a device that could actually really make a big impact. And now you mentioned partnering with an engineer. And I'm sure that there have been others that you've had to work with through this experience. So talk to me a little bit about who else you've partnered with to work on this project so far.
So as you probably know, I was a faculty member at Washington State University when this started. And so my engineering collaborator is Dr. Arda Gozin, and he's a faculty member at WSU. And another collaborator on the project is his wife, it turns out. She was my graduate student at the time, and that's how I got to meet Arda. And she's since gotten a PhD, and she's very much involved in this. And then there were a couple of graduate students and undergraduates that were involved from the very start. And so they are also on the patent application. So that's the team. It's a local team. We're still moving forward slowly.
So
They're interdisciplinary.
Interdisciplinary team, a mix of different education levels, a mix of different expertise. And now we see this a lot where one technology, one core idea turns into a collaboration because you're necessarily relying on the expertise of others to help you reduce your idea to practice, to reduce your invention to a prototype that works. And so through the patent application process, to have undergraduate students, to have graduate students, faculty members together on a patent is great. We do see that quite a bit when we have academic research programs. And do you think that the students, how do you think the students are benefiting from that, getting that kind of exposure early on in their education and in their careers?
Oh gosh, yeah. for the couple of undergrads, they were engineering undergrads that were on it, they were fully engaged. And I think it really opened their eyes to research and how we can use research to, to help humanity. It made what we do real to them. And I'm sure they'll take that with them in a variety of ways. And their names are on the patent. So if and when this does go to market, they're going to benefit for the rest of their lives. In terms of the graduate students, it was a really important part of those graduate students' careers to work on this, because it wasn't part of either one of their dissertation projects. It was
Wow, okay.
Nope, it was something we were all doing on the side because we feel so passionate about it. We've done some user surveys, and we know that there's a market for this. And as researchers, we know that it would change how we can do research on this whole topic if we had it. So, it was fun. It was interdisciplinary. It's everything that we look for. I only like to work with people that I like. So it was a good project. And I think having the different levels of expertise made it even better.
So that's very interesting that you say that you did this on the side or in your so-called free time. And now it's hard for me to believe that you've got much free time. And so tell us about that. How has this project differed from some of the other academic research projects that you've engaged with, some of the others that you've even employed students on and that sort of thing? Because commercialization it's different, right? So how has this been different for you?
It's been different. So, none of us have a background in business. So we did participate in the I-Corps program, which helped us kind of think through what's a business plan, who's our target audience, and issues that we had never thought through. So it really opened our eyes to the business side of things. We have talked to a lot of entrepreneurs. I just didn't even know how this worked. To be honest, when you've been in academia for 20 plus years, you're looking for a new challenge. So I think something like this was a new challenge. It's very different from anything else that we do. We can't write a normal grant for it. Again, it's a challenge. It's something new and something we think would be important. And I've thoroughly enjoyed all of it. And, just hoping we can find the right investor.
So given that this has been a project that you've had to take under your wing in such a personal way, how has it affected your personal life? Have you seen an impact? Have you seen that you've had more connections, fewer connections? How have you been impacted personally by this project?
It's a really interesting question. I think on a personal, everybody who knows me and knows of me, they know I study breastfeeding. And one thing is, whenever I bring up this project with just anybody, I'm talking about high school friends or, people at church or something like that, they immediately see, they see the importance of it. Like, that is not normal for me. I can't always just bring up my research and have people say, oh, I would have bought that, or my daughter-in-law needs that, or something like that. That's not a normal research conversation with somebody at church, but with this product, everybody seems to get it immediately. And so it's fun to talk about on just on a personal level, because I think it also connects academia. It's the town gown sort of thing, when people immediately see that what we're doing is applicable. It's a great land grant mission project, because the outreach, the engagement part of it is huge, because people will use it.
And
So
isn't that
it's fun
when people see something that is relevant to their daily lives or to the daily lives of those they care about and love? I think that's a great way to make those kind of connections, to drive the message home that what we're doing at the university really does impact. It really does reach all the way into the lives of everyday consumers to improve them. So I think that's a fabulous message. And have you, in carrying that message, have you had people be surprised? Have you had people You know, in my line of work, we talk about the impact that researchers make all the time. And sometimes we, for the first time, will be telling somebody that a federal research investment has impacted their life in some way. So have you seen that here? Have you seen people just learning about sort of the process of technology transfer, the process of getting inventions out into the marketplace like this?
You know, most people don't realize that we even have the capacity to do that. And I think most researchers don't realize we have the capacity to do that. So yeah, I think this is a good example of making that connection and having the public, you know, buy into what we're doing. I don't know what they think we're doing with all of our money here. We're not twiddling our thumbs, but there aren't always projects like this that are so applicable. So yeah, I think it's a great story. If we can get it over the finish line, it'll be a better story.
And when you were beginning this project, did you learn about other academic entrepreneurs who have followed a similar path and taken their research out into the marketplace and allowed consumers to access it in this way?
Yeah, actually, again, I was at WSU at the time, and I did not realize how many entrepreneurs are over there and how many businesses have been started. I had no idea. And through the I-Corps program that we were in, we actually got to meet some of the most successful folks over at WSU, you know, that have massive like programs over on the west side, over in Seattle. We had no idea what was going on, and it was really exciting. And it was just exciting for people to say, "Oh, this is a good idea. You should really do this." And you know, we've got the capacity to help you with that. So that was, again, it was a real eye opener that it could even be part of our portfolio is what we do.
Right, right. Yeah, I mean, a lot of academic entrepreneurs don't see themselves, they see it that way. They see that they're an academic entrepreneur. They don't necessarily see the reverse, that they're an entrepreneur working in the academic setting. So was there kind of like a mentor, or was there somebody who helped kind of nudge you along the way in particular, or was it more just that you saw the possibilities and started driving down that path yourself?
Yeah, there was one, I don't know if you want me to name him, but there was
Sure, if you feel comfortable doing so, sure.
well, yeah. Well, his name is Brian. Anyway, he's at WSU, and he was in the kind of in your office in a way, and he saw the potential really early on, and helped us immediately. So it was interesting. It did. I think you get into something like this, and you know, things don't work right. You know, it's a lot of time and effort, and a lot of people are saying, "Oh, this, I don't see a future in this." But then to have somebody come along and say, "No, you know, I've got 4 kids. My wife would have used this. This is a good idea. Let's move it forward." That was really helpful. So it's nice to have a cheerleader
Absolutely.
with skills.
Yes, skills, connections, knowledge, right? All of those things will ultimately contribute to the success of your program, of your project, of the product that you guys are working to develop. And as that success kind of comes into view, you know, knowing that this has been a multi-year project for you and a big time commitment, what does success look like for you in this project? What have you envisioned for the success? Saying, oh, I've reached this level. Maybe I'm not done, but okay, I know I've achieved what I set out to achieve.
Success means that these are available for purchase around the world.
Seems pretty straightforward, but it's a big goal, right?
Yeah. Oh, I think it's very doable. I mean, there are already products like this on the market that don't work.
Okay.
So
right. That's a good entry point then. So
yep.
So on that, what do you think? What do you foresee as being some of the next hurdles that you and your team will be overcoming?
Well, so we have a prototype. We know that it works, but it's not really something that women could wear because it's just a prototype. And we also need to get the technology. So we need to do some more R&D on the technology and get it into a wearable form. And we also need to, and this won't be hard, but we just haven't had the funds to do it. We need to build the app. So this needs to be connected to a phone app so that women can get their data in real time. So that needs to be done as well. Those are the two next big steps.
Well, it sounds like you have your work laid out for you, but it sounds like you've got a very well-intentioned, well laid out path, well laid out plan. And, one of my last questions here for you will be, how did you set out about making that plan? What tools did you use to kind of help guide the business plan, and how have you all worked together on that?
Well, we worked a lot with your counterparts at WSU, to tell you the truth, in just putting forth a bit of a plan. It's not super fleshed out. We're going to need to get a partner on board that knows the business side better. But it was really helpful to have the help at the beginning to get it moving forward, and then also going through the whole patent process really helped us hone our what we wanted to do and how we thought we could do it. That was really helpful. And then I will say, we've had several potential investors reach out, and we've pitched our idea to them, and every time we do that, it gets better. So
sure, practice makes perfect, right? So to close out, if there was one last thing that you would like to share with those in attendance, what would it be?
Don't get frustrated. If you've got a good idea, it's just like research. It's just like trying to get our grants. 1 out of every 10 gets funded. You just have to have a thick skin and keep things moving forward, I think. I say that having not gotten an investor yet, but we're still, but if we lose faith now, nobody else is going to do it. So, stay positive.
Yeah, well, I think that's a great message. And too, what I keep hearing you mention is the importance of the collaboration, and the importance of just being willing to trust somebody else, being willing to enter into a venture with somebody else like this. So I think that's really great, a really great message for the folks that are watching today. So Shelley, thank you so much for your time today. And as we close out this video, we'll open up the line for Q&A. So please do stay around, those of you who are in attendance, so that you can get your questions before Shelley. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Jeremy. Thanks for having me.
All right, so we do have a couple of questions in the chat box here. And so I'll just go through and read the questions for the sake of the group. So Yimin Chen says, thank you for sharing this story, Shelley. Did you realize right off the bat this was going to go through the commercializing route versus research project? If not, at what point did you make the mind switch that this project should go this route?
I'm not sure we've decided that yet. We're still weighing our options. It definitely started out as a research project because that's what we knew how to do, but it has to go the commercialization route as well in order for it to succeed. We have to. It won't succeed otherwise. So it has to be both.
And I think one thing that you mentioned too, Shelley, is that you have an intention for this to ultimately be part of your research program and a tool for you to utilize in your studies and as an extension of those studies. And so I think that also sort of makes the two seem very dovetailed in terms of how they will probably continue to develop in the future.
Yeah, one of the tricks now is when we do talk to potential investors, it's really hard for us to consider giving up the R&D part, because a couple of the investors that we've worked with wanted to do their own R&D, and we're not sure we want to do that. But on the other hand, you don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. So it's going to depend on who we finally settle with as an investor as to how involved we'll be, and whether we have to buy our technology back in the end. I don't know, or just buy it as a user of it. I don't know.
And one of the big discussions in those relationships can be the development of improvement inventions and how those improvement inventions will be utilized by those partners in the future. So sure there's been a lot of interesting conversation branches about the possibilities for both sides of this technology. And we also have Karen Stevenson asked, did you create a startup company? And if so, are any of the student inventors part of that company?
So we haven't yet. It depends on what route we want to go, and whether we want to do this ourselves. I think our first choice is to work with an investor and not do this on our own. We don't have none of the students that were involved in the beginning are still around, except for one of the graduate students. That graduate student is very interested in potentially helping run the company if we end up doing it. So, students come and go. There were two grad students involved, and they're both very interested in continuing, and they'd be ideal.
Were either of them graduate students in the College of Business, or were they both engineering folks, or were they, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, one was engineering and one was biology. So one knows lactation and one knows engineering. Neither one of them knows business.
Yeah, cool. That's a great question, Karen. We've got folks on the line who have talked about potentially starting companies, potentially rolling out technologies based on their research. And so I really thank you for your time and for your insights, Shelley, both today and during our previous interview. We have Jason Dominguez asking a question. I am teaching at the law school and wonder if there are any legal services that law students and faculty in a clinic setting could provide to startups. This could be valuable legal experience to law students and would be supervised by experienced lawyers and faculty. Jason, thank you for the comment and for the question. We commonly refer startup companies to the Entrepreneurship Law Clinic and to the Patent Pro Bono program, as well as to the Law Library for the Patent, Trademark, and Resource Center that's located in Boise. I think that there are definitely opportunities, especially where there's a point where the university has to hand off the business, right? Once a business entity is created, we have a limited range of services that we can provide to that business. And so that's where the clinic can come in and be really helpful. That's where the Patent Pro Bono program can come in and be really helpful and give that boost to get people up and running. And the university in that situation can provide a very low level, a low hurdle license agreement that's more based on milestones than it is on royalty back to the university, so that we're tracking that the technology is actually getting to market and not strangling the startup company on the outset. So especially where those services are inexpensive or free, as they can be from the College of Law and through those other programs to the USPTO, absolutely, there's a big opportunity there. So I want to be timely and respectful of everybody's time today. And so we're going to go ahead and close the call out. I appreciate everybody's participation, the questions today, and everybody dialing in. Please join us next time for the next Startup Stories. It'll be 2 weeks from yesterday, and we'll be airing a conversation with Dr. Chris Nomura, the new Vice President for Research and Economic Development for the University of Idaho. And we'll see you guys then. Thanks, Shelley.
Thanks, Jeremy. I'm glad I didn't wear the same clothes today.
Bye-bye.
All right, have a good one.